Good morning and welcome to today's live show. We have the market really selling off on some recession scares. Honestly, that's what it seems like it is for now. And we're seeing this hit levels that are pretty much COVID levels. Like if we really look back here, this is pretty much a reaction like it's COVID. So it's like COVID is happening right now. And this is where this morning I just kind of looked around, wanted to see what Tom Lee and people like that thought. And he overall thinks that this is going to be seen as some kind of shakeout, as this is some kind of scare in growth, which will end up actually being some kind of bottom when it's all said and done. He said we can go sideways for the next few months, but you see the overreaction at this point. But if this is an overreaction, then we're going to see the volatility start to collapse here. We actually could see this thing, as Tom Lee is putting it, it could V-shape. The upturn could be just as fast as the downturn. So we'll watch that this morning. As far as what he's saying at this moment, not really seeing any reversal signals. So a lot of those reversal signals we talked about over the weekend have given up. We'll have to pay attention if those monthly charts want to cross over. We got very close to uninverting. That did not end up happening. And the dollar is still screaming lower. Now, the only time that the dollar really went lower in a crash scenario was COVID. Okay, COVID, you did see that dollar drop off for a week or two, and then the dollar started to spike up. We started to crash even harder. So we'll pay attention to this, but right now I still believe this could be some insider buying. I know that's crazy to say. We do get data at 9 a.m., but just so you know, some people like Tom Lee saying, hey, the recovery could be just as good as the downturn. So we'll see what happens from this going forward. But for now, we got to take it for what it is. For some reason, my GameStop call is up. That's interesting. But as we look forward, this is obviously a very bad thing. Now, when we do pull out and we look at the drop that is going on here, we see about 10%. So this would be correction territory. Another 5%, and you would be considered a bear market. But I just watching some stuff across the board, I'm like, this still could be an overall overreaction. But I want to make sure those monthly charts aren't doing anything. So when we know something awful is happening, we're most likely going to see this monthly chart be able to cross down, and we still have a little bit of time left for that. Now, I was watching Bitcoin and I was hanging out with my friend online. I was just hanging out with him for a second, and I said, oh my gosh, I was watching it for 5 minutes and Bitcoin went from like 56 or 57K all the way down to like 50K within 5 minutes. And I was just like, my goodness, this is a bad look. It really does. But you'd expect people to be flying to gold. We're not necessarily seeing that unless this is going to be a deflationary event like that. The only thing we see that can be green in front of us is TLT. So you know this is my overall investment at this point. This one's doing pretty good for me. Obviously, the trade that's going against me this morning is the NVIDIA one. NVIDIA originally confirming some possible divergence down here on the 30-minute. We will see what happens with that here in a moment, because we do see some buying trickle back into this market. So main thing I'm going to pay attention to today is volatility. Can that cross back down? Because it can reverse from here just as fast as it actually went up. So that is something to pay attention to. Looking forward, I'm going to go with, yeah, nothing really going down in value too much, even with my trades here. Solid. Okay, now there's no camera today. That's just because we've had kind of a crazy morning. Baby girl has a doctor appointment at 10 o'clock, so I will have to, or at 10:30, sorry. So I will have to hop off just a tiny bit early, but we will be doing a closing stream today. I think today's very important to go live a couple of times and see how this really wants to play out. As we can see, the SPY outside of a weekly range very early on. So even though everyone is screaming crash, if we start to see 30 minutes curl up, if we start to see this buy back, and that's able to get back within these ranges, then I would pay attention. Tom Lee this morning, actually before the open, did say we could open up down here, way down, and then by 11 o'clock be right back to where we started. So we'll pay attention to what's going on. I don't see any of that. We get data in about 25 minutes. That is going to be PMI. So we do get PMI in a moment, and those are both supposed to tick up. Those ticking up might give people a little bit of comfortability in buying in this area, actually, showing that we're not needing to cut the rates necessarily. So if we get a higher PMI, then it would more so even out those rates, and maybe we actually see some buying step in to the market. But if it does not build back today, well, then you're hoping for some random news, because we really don't get news until Thursday initial jobless claims. Like, that's the only one we really get this week. So whatever pattern we choose from Monday most likely will continue into the end of the week. So we'll pay attention to that. Thank you guys for joining this morning. Did you exit your NVIDIA and Tesla calls? I'm going to leave them for now. And I know that's kind of crazy to say, but I'm going to leave them for now. I really think that this is a mistake. I do not believe that we are in the environment that we were in back in 2020 with COVID. I just don't believe that. I believe this is some kind of, if you will, I think it's maybe even some kind of shakeout at this point. Or if this was unexpected by the market maker, then I think that they are going to do something funky. But I'm still taking it for what it is right now. It is going down rapidly. All right, it is going down rapidly. So I don't necessarily want to, I would say, add to many positions, just because I want to make sure that things are reversing back around again. Great morning, Sava. Let's go look at Sava real quick this morning. This thing actually remaining okay, so that's kind of surprising here. We have some stocks actually being okay here, so we'll pay attention to this. No real reversal signals in here. You do have divergences on the RSI all the way across the way. Now, you know that this is very, very high up, so if you do end up pulling back, hey, you can curl right back up into positive territory. But is this the time that I would be chasing this? Not necessarily. Kyle's still holding all the calls since they're basically worthless. Weirdly enough, the calls that I took actually did not lose a ton of value. I think maximum I'm down 20% on two trades. Tesla down about 25% and NVIDIA down 20%. So weirdly enough, they're holding their value a little bit better. Now your trades in the SPY and the Qs might be suffering a little bit there. But as you can see, we're going right back up to the weekly expected move. So here we go. Let's see what happens from here. Is this an overreaction to what's going on? Is this because of geopolitical? But MSTR, let's look at that real quick. And a lot of stuff's just going to be at lower levels. So it turns out, looks like I can't load some stuff. Yeah, we can look at General Mills here in a moment. Let me try to look at this guy first. There we go. Yeah, see, and we're seeing a lot of these things buy back up. So I'm not necessarily like thinking, oh, this is all over and done with. I'm actually thinking this might be an overreaction. Now, once again, I'm going to say that again, I am taking it for what it's worth at this point. I'm like, this is a dramatic drop. I have to treat it as such. But if I see reversals in front of me, then I am going to make some decisions. TLT. See, look at that volatility starting to drop off. That 30-minute crosses. We could just shape right back up. We'll see in 20 minutes with that data. AMD on the run, and AMD is really starting to build back here, and this is overall something to pay attention to. Thank you, Short Fridays. Imagine the poor young. Now, one thing that frustrated me was my volatility call for like what I think I did. Oh shoot, I don't remember what it was. What did I make? 400% on that. I think I would have made 4,000% today. So that's annoying, but yeah, it is what it is, you know. I can't confirm a meeting or anything like that. Dan Tan, right now I'm taking it for what it's worth, and I'm going to say that a lot this morning. I'm taking it for what it's worth. This is a dramatic drop down. We do get data that we don't get data for really the rest of the week. So if we get some data this morning that actually suggests like a higher PMI, we actually could see those scares come out of the market. We'll see. But I think if you keep doing this, you can actually end up range bound for a little bit just because you have no news going on this week. Now, I think this is an overreaction. I think this is a 10% correction. They happen, you know, once a year or once every 2 years, you'll see a big 10% correction. That could be where we're at right now. If we start to go down towards 15% and things like that, that's when we would start to really be talking bear market. But hopefully, you know, this is where it goes. This is where it's good to say, and thank you so much for the $10 Short Fridays. It is good to say, you know, let's pay attention over the weekends, right? We try to mention over the weekends. Don't be taking these huge plays over the weekend. Like me, I took a play, right? I took NVIDIA, and am I necessarily like, really, am I bummed out? Of course I'm going to be bummed out. It's a losing trade at this point. But for the time being, I'd be like, okay, I'm just glad I didn't do anything crazy to try to blow up my account, because I know crazy things can happen over the weekend and volatility was higher. So One more time. It was General Mills. I don't know the ticker for that. GM. Oh wait, no. I always do that. General Mills, we're seeing that go to the upside, but when this thing curls down, it looks like 2 hour could have something to say here. Yeah, actually, that's just scaling up quickly. I'm not necessarily seeing reversal signals. All I'm seeing is very, very overbought on the 2 hour. So that's just convincing me like, hey, that 2 hour might get some kind of pullback like we did over here. You see this nice move, great move, overbought. If we pull back, we make that move higher. Guess what? Positivity is there. I'm looking for that one more time on a stock like General Mills. Do you think that banks are having liquidity problems? Buffett sold a lot lately, particularly Bank of America. Yeah, Bank of America is the one, probably the big one that's struggling the most. It is one of the ones that's caught up in that, hey, they're off by like $500 billion or something. So they can run into trouble. We're seeing it leak into, pretty much we're going to see it leak into the housing market if those banks get under trouble. But look at the unrate. The unrate, we've been paying attention to that. Remember, we said pay attention to unemployment. Everyone pays attention to CBI. We say unemployment comes out bad, boom, bad things happen. So I'm not necessarily thinking like, hey, this is going to be the absolute moment. I actually think this could be some kind of shakeout. But that's just me. That's just me right now. I'm taking it for what it's worth as of right now. SPY down below the weekly expected move. Remember, 68% chance to be here by Friday. That doesn't mean right away. We could do this for a long time and then end up back there, or we could use it as resistance as we are below it. It is correction territory. You're at about 9.7%, 10%. That's like a perfect correction right there. But we'll see. I want to see how that PCC opens up in a bit. And short Fridays, what did you say? That use 3x margin are being liquidated today, and all of those option calls out of the money liquidated. This is very bad for retail traders over leverage. Yeah, and that might be the fact, and maybe this move was the most made the most sense for even the market maker to really cause retail to lose the maximum amount of money. We said that's probably the goal here. Anyone else having trouble yet again logging into Schwab? I switched out of my Schwab account. Back when I was a fundamental trader, I used a Schwab account, and I felt like the data I was receiving, at least most of the time, wasn't the best. I mean, I think it's good, right? It's great. It's Schwab, but also my transactions cost a lot of money. So I stepped away from that a while back. Do you think holding is the best decision here? I fully believe in Nvidia and Apple, but viewing the uncertainty of the market, it's kind of up to that. It's kind of uncertainty in the market. So what you want to see here is more on the daily scale. Is this going to be able to turn back up? If that means you need to mitigate your risk, not necessarily say, hey, sell everything. If I bought something like here, like I did, right? I have an option here. Am I adding to it right now? Well, I'm looking at the price of things and I'm going, that's not really dropping too much. My option is only down 20%. Even with this big drop, my option's only down 20%. So am I going to load the boat here? No, I'm going to see if that money can either break even or even be the bottom to actually head higher. But I'm not going to necessarily be like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy more just yet. I want to see if we can take back a moving average. Then I can start to add a little bit there. And short Fridays, thank you so much for the $5. But yeah, I haven't used Schwab in a long time, but I actually have been seeing some things on Twitter about Schwab, people not being able to log in. I'm logged in, but trade didn't go through. I'm selling. Pressure is not sustainable. You're not doing any puts. No, I did my puts last week. I made money off it, and I was perfectly happy. I made 400% on Friday, so that's just what I did. I'm not adding puts here, as I do see the dollar dropping off and volatility starting to subside. If that volatility can cross on this 30-minute, you actually might find yourself a V-shaped bottom. This could be kind of like COVID, where we V-shape towards the bottom. Yeah, and it can prolong for days, Marina. You're definitely correct there. And now I'm mentioning this about the dollar. The dollar has been dropping off, but the last time that we saw a crash while the dollar dropped off was actually COVID. COVID, you saw the dollar drop off for 2 weeks. And then the selling really continued, and I think that was maybe some buy the dippers, and then that dollar actually turned right back around and whipped up after 2 weeks of selling. And then the selling got even worse. So we'll see if the dollar is able to reverse during this. That could maybe hint us, hey, this is going to escalate even further. But as it stands, we could just be making some stronger bases, Tesla going down towards 180.92, has not curled over on the weekly. Mainly, we need to pay attention to those monthly charts and things like that. As you can see on the 30-minute, Tesla's still struggling to catch a bounce here. But it's just things are not dropping in my options, you know, like to really say like, oh, I need to add anything. I think this is just, yeah, war issues too. I mean, there's plenty of issues going on, but think of it, they're really flooding it out into the market and you're seeing things bounce dramatically. So we have to pay attention to reversal signals. If volatility does cross back down on the 30-minute, we will pay attention to that. It could mean that we're going to see some possible upside actually over the next few days. Now, what are we noticing? PCC going right back up, going right back up. So we do have that more and more puts coming in as the market starts to bounce. So we'll really pay attention if this volatility can cross down, and we'll say, okay, if that volatility crosses down, this SPY actually has a good chance to recover. We'll see. We'll see at this point. 433 for the Qs coming back within those weekly expected moves. Make sure you have the weekly expected moves on. 68% chance to bounce from here. Hey, we're bouncing as of right now. We get data in about 12 minutes, so we'll pay attention to that. Let's see who's really dropped off. Mara's really dropped off. Let's go take a look at Bitcoin. This is what I was watching last night, and you'll notice there is a subtle 30-minute divergence that says, hey, the 2-hour actually could curl up here. Now, does that mean that this is the bottom? It could if this wants to just V-shape and see some craziness, keep curling up on a 4-hour, a daily, all that good stuff. But if you need a stronger base, you could do something like that before it's able to recover. I know we're talking about recovery. We still have to have it in mind. This is very, very bad. This is very, very bad. And if you're thinking, hey, AMC, I want that thing to run, well, look at that. It goes down towards 437. That's our point to pay attention. And now we're starting to head to the upside. GME, we head down to the 1875 mark. All right, I believe this needs to be updated real quick. Let me update these lines. I'm pretty sure. Nope, that's it. So you go and you hit the weekly expected move for GameStop, and now you're heading to the upside. Beauty. Alrighty, yeah, GameStop goes and hits that weekly expected move right out the gate. Let me check where AMC's was. 415. So we didn't get there for AMC 415, just a little bit lower. But GameStop, pretty cool that you go and hit that weekly expected move. And what happens from there? Buying. So very, very cool behavior there. That's where these weekly ranges, you guys, even during crashing times, even during bear markets, even during regular behavior markets, even during bull markets, these weekly ranges are important. I want to encourage you to really start to learn about these and how to trade around them, because it can be very, very cool. It can convince you, hey, if I'm short on GameStop, maybe this week, this is where I might need to say, hey, maybe I want to take some off the table, right? That's what these can be used for. We talk about them a lot throughout the courses, and we talk about them pretty much every single day, but this does make sense. It is within what the market does expect for GME as of right now, AMC within it as well. The SPY is outside of it, trying to climb back into it. The Q's trying to climb back into it. So we'll see what happens with this, if we can see some kind of recovery as the dollar keeps dropping off. The Dow is something we were paying attention to, why that looked very dramatic. Okay, so the Dow was telling us something here, able to cut below lower levels. So we're dropping down to major levels here, where if we do pop up, hey, a lower high is likely, okay? There are lower highs likely in these areas for 2-hour charts. So we'll pay attention to that. We got to start curling up dailies in order to see this as an actual bottom. But whoever last week was like, hey, 95.63 can happen. And I was like, well, maybe not this week, but next week. Hey, it happened this week. So there you go. You still have the reversal signal here for the 2-hour, by the way, for NVIDIA. And I think it was Tesla had the 2-hour divergence as well. If that thing can really buy back up, it might hold that. We'll see if that 2-hour can turn up over time. Amazon dropping off a cliff, NVIDIA still looking okay, AMD holding the divergences, okay? So AMD holding the divergences. Just pay attention if you get a reaction like this. We get data in about 9 minutes. Meta dropping down to really, really low levels. Where did it go to? Our 453.08, that's super important level. If that curls down on the 2-hour, that's gonna mean more selling. But if this 30-minute can curl back up, that's just a simple swing trade right there. So don't get overly bearish, don't get overly bullish. It will help you. You will be in the right move. Even in a crash scenario, you will see things turn down. I know that maybe for the time being, NVIDIA did fake me out even, right? NVIDIA kind of faked me out with this crossing up of the MACD on this 30-minute. But as you can see, we're dropping down to lower levels. If that just curls right back up, I can know that position, I can still manage that a little bit better, but I'm not going to be feared out of any move, as I don't think this is like COVID crash. I don't think this is nearly as bad as the COVID crash yet. I think people are going to be convinced that the market is doing well. Actually, I think that'll happen before we see a big drop, or maybe we just go get a lower high. We'll pay attention to the signals to see what happens. Imagine you can't sign into your Thinkorswim account or Schwab. Yeah, that's awful. Chewy, let's go look at, I haven't looked at Chewy in a couple weeks actually. What's been happening with this? Hey, it's starting to buy back. All right. Now, one thing to note about the AMC and GME thing is, weirdly enough, if the stock market comes down and enough, I guess, short sellers that could be bad on their positions, they actually could get margin called or something like that on other positions, which would cause them to maybe have to do something with AMC and GME. We'll pay attention to it. By no means am I convinced that this is going to be a major drop just yet. I think right now we have to think correction. If we start to escalate from here, that's when we want to more so be thinking about things. But volatility, as you can see, starting to cross down. So we could see some kind of buying come into the market here in the next 7 minutes. And guess what? That's the only piece of data we're going to get for the entire week. Okay, that's the only piece of data you're going to get for the week is PMI. And so that's going to be very important. Now, you do get initial jobless claims later on and things like that. We do get other little pieces of data, but the important piece of data for today is PMI. Consensus supposed to be at 51, forecasted to 51. Previous was 48.8. Maybe a higher number here will actually be seen as good for the market. And if we just look this morning, composite PMI 54.3, so a little bit lower than the previous, and then the global services PMI final 55, which is just a little bit lower than the previous as well. So if that number comes down, but it is holding in the 50s there for the other readings, we'll see what happens with the ISM services PMI. But for now, 30-minute crosses down. We actually could see a bounce in the market. Then if that turns right back up, we can see more selling, okay? Originally, this was up to 60, UVXY up to $65 at one point. Kind of crazy, considering my option was down at $25, I believe. Actually, no, it might have been better than that, right? No, it was down towards 25 because it was a simple curl up of the 30-minute and never curled back down. So I just managed the risk and said, hey, 400%'s enough, not knowing, hey, just a day of trading later, I could be up like 4,000% right now. So was originally a good call. I just managed it a little early up in these areas. Actually, I think I managed it like somewhere in here. Yeah, 35, 32, something like that. Good stuff. Volatility dropping off dramatically, which means you're probably going to see the SPY bouncing. But remember, volatility is still high. It is above 20, so we can see rip arounds. We can literally do something like rip up, rip right back down. So we have to pay attention to the signals. We could just see this continue if volatility keeps turning up. How you guys doing out there? Utilities it was going up actually originally, now starting to fall back down. So as you can see, it was going up. I was paying attention to that. That's starting to fall back down. The reason that I'm a little bit like interested into what's going on is because of this weekly actually making another high point here. And I think we maybe even go do that in the stock market. You see how we dropped down, right? We dropped down from this area by about 7%. And this is where I'm thinking, hey, we could cross up and see something happen where we could actually see some upside for a couple more months, and then come, say, September or October, we actually see something bad, like really, really bad happen in the market. I'm talking like a 10%, a 20% down day in the SPY. 20% might be a little bit much, but I'm talking like anywhere from a 7 to a 12%, I would say, down day in the SPY is coming in the future. But is that going to happen in the fall in a few weeks? Is that going to happen tomorrow because of the selling right now? Or is that going to leak into 2025, right? There's a lot to go off of, but I think we're just following XLU to a point, and we're supposed to be bouncing up to these levels, and then we'll see the same signal as XLU as that goes forward. It'll get more difficult to trade, but yeah, oh wait, no, your last sentence. Sorry, I need you to read your whole thing. It will present a lot of opportunities. If you're a trader, if you're someone who likes to trade back and forth, this is actually the kind of market you want to see. And one thing about the Qs, by the way, they're in this channel. You're going to the bottom of the channel, right? You're going to the bottom of the channel. The daily is down, right? But we can see that we're at the bottom of the channel. We're outside of a weekly move. We can start to break that channel, and that's going to mean bad things, right? That could mean we're starting to see months and months of selling. Once this monthly crosses, that's when we know, hey, we're in a crash scenario. That hasn't crossed yet, so a lot can happen, right? We could see some kind of move up, and then it fails, and then that crosses. We could see another move up where that extends, and then that starts to fail, and that's when it happens. But that hasn't happened yet, so I don't want to get overly bearish. I don't want to be someone who posts on YouTube saying there's going to be a massive crash, because everyone and their mom is putting that on YouTube right now, and usually that means that something else is going to happen. The AI bubble that's oversold, the AI bubble that's way oversold, yeah. And I think this is what you really want to pay attention to with a lot of these charts. Zoom out for a second. Go to daily charts. Look at where they're at. They're above their 200s. They're above their 200s. They're above their, I'm going to say it over and over again. They're above their 200s. If this just goes like that, that is a swing trade to the upside. If this just goes like that, that is a swing trade to the upside. If this just goes like that, this is a swing trade to the upside. So just make sure that when you're doing that, you take into consideration how fast we dropped here, and just say to yourself, okay, maybe I'm going to use not my maximum amount, right? I told you guys for like probably the last 6 months, I haven't been using full size positions. Most of the time I haven't even been putting $1,500 behind a trade. A lot of the time I'm doing $600 to $1,000. I think only once or twice back in these areas did I actually put in a trade for over $1,500. Thanks for the notification on the VIX. I just locked in 250 on SVIX and 1,000 on TLT open Friday. Congratulations, William. Congratulations. I know we were talking about some bouncing, but overall, if you paid attention to the signals, volatility never turned down. So that's a great play for you. Thank you so much for letting us know, and thank you for the $5. That's awesome. Do you think we're in recession now? I believe we've been in recession for almost 4 years. I believe that we've been in recession ever since 2020, and we're being in this fake, bubbly little la-la land that we call Jerome Powell's money pumping scheme. And even that, I don't even put the full blame on Jerome Powell. I think it's part of the politicians that are telling you, hey, you can't let the market crash down. We need to have this go higher. I also believe that we're actually pumping up the stock market in order to increase the power of the deep state. That's what I truly believe. I believe that we're on the cusp of something really bad that we haven't seen in 100 or so years. And I think that that's going to play out. But is it playing out right now? No. I think this is your first signal that it's something like this is going to happen. But I think this is going to be for people to rip more money away from retail, rip more money, shrink the middle class. That's overall what this kind of behavior does. How heavily do you weigh the VIX for the overall market health? I know today was over 47, which is high as 2008. As far as it goes, as far as right now, I'm actually thinking that this is an overreaction. We're seeing volatility hit levels that COVID hit just on recession scares alone. But I can show you guys this. This is what you need to take away from today, which is this. Look at the reaction when we just hear that we might be going into recession, even though we've been in one probably since 2020. But look at the reaction in the market when they actually believe that. When most people actually believe, oh, we are going into recession right now, look at that reaction. So now imagine when it actually happens. Now imagine when it actually happens. I'm talking about a 7 to 15% down day probably happening in the SPY. That's not going to happen. Now let's look at the data as that just came out. Someone pointing that out, coming in at 51.4. So that is a higher number. That can help out the market. That can help out the market. There you go. There you go. There, all the recession scares start to leak away very slowly. Now you can see an overreaction to the other side. Now we can see an overreaction the other way. We'll see what happens, though. We still have to take it for what it is. As of right now, 30-minute charts are in negative territory. We're going up towards the daily expected move. We can use that as resistance, but that is the type of number you needed in order to actually convince people, hey, weirdly enough, you know what this is, right? 51.4 PMI. You know what this is? This is people need to be convinced that inflation is still going up, and that means that these things will inflate. Right, so this is them saying, "Oh, okay, we don't need those yields to come down too much. We're actually seeing more inflation. It's fine." Right? Isn't that? I think that's hilarious, but that's how it works. All right, let's see what you guys are chatting about. Sorry about that. AMD green. AMD actually flipping to the green side, and these are the signals. 2 hour, it's still holding that divergence right there. NVIDIA still holding that divergence right there. Tesla still holding the divergence, actually, possibly. Let's see, let's zoom in on the RSI. Still holding the flatness on the RSI. So if these things start to curl up, I would really pay attention. Just it's nothing crazy. You're just seeing a dramatic bar down, but you know when to react. If these 2 hours start to curl up, you know when to react. And that's overall the point being said here is AMD, it starts to curl up on a 2 hour, we react. That's all we do. AMC starts to curl up on a 2 hour, we react. GME starts to curl up on a 2 hour, we react. SMCI does have divergence down here, so we have to be prepared to react. And what are we seeing? We're seeing volatility start to cross over on a 30-minute. So even though everyone and their mom can tell you, hey, we're definitely crashing down here, just be aware. It doesn't mean take big plays. It doesn't mean reversal signals have confirmed yet, but it does mean, hey, we might want to pay attention for a bit this morning, because if these things start to curl up, we do still have points of divergence. Even right here, you still have that point of divergence. So if you can get some positivity in here, we actually can V-shape, just as Tom Lee was saying this morning. Buy calls, don't worry, and I guarantee you that the market maker wants the market to go up right now. They don't want retail making all this money. They're probably mad that retail's making money this morning. So what do? They send it higher, and if retail gets overzealous to the call side, then they're going to drop the market again. That's what I believe happens. But as we look forward, Apple seeing that base out down towards our 197.47 level, boom, right there. So we're actually coming back into where you could sell off from, right? Where you really break down through. So this could be a point of resistance curling down on the 2 hour. We'll see if that changes very soon. But you'll notice what? You have divergence for Apple again here now. Coming back within those weekly expected moves. Tom Lee looks stretched, though. He did look a little bit like, oh, this took me by surprise. But I think that's because he expected this, and I think he expected this to be next. But instead, we get that, more, this kind of negativity piled on over the weekend. I think this threw him for a loop for a sec, but he still was like, oh, this isn't breaking down. Mainly what he was stating was volatility at these type of levels from just a recession, I would say scare at this point, right? Hasn't been confirmed with like a GDP or anything. I think that's what he's really paying attention to, and I think he sees it as an overreaction. God dang it, I get the hiccups every morning. Please wish me some luck today. The last time baby girl got all her shots, she got a little bit sick, and it was a stressful time, so we have that going on today. I'm sorry I will have to be hopping off around 10 or in about an hour, but I will be back for an end of the day live stream. Yeah, Steve, you could kind of agree with it. We can kind of think about it, and agree about it, and then we'll know if we're correct about it if things just start to curl up on 2 hour MACDs, and I'm being genuine about that. I think that's how you'll see. Now, if things don't curl up, or if they curl up and immediately curl back down, we'll be ready to react. And thank you guys for the good luck. I need all of it. Oh, goodness. She woke up this morning. Hopefully she didn't choose violence. One person who's very excited, my brother, his client's getting a little excited about these yields dropping off dramatically, but I just want you to notice they actually like kissed. We actually saw them within like 0.1 from each other, the 2-year and the 10-year over here, but they never crossed, right? So the 10-year was never more than the 2-year. So uninversion did not happen. AKA, we have the opportunity to get more inverted now with this data, and maybe that's actually going to cause the market to go up. Okay, uninversion, when you start to uninvert, causes the market to go down. But when these two things get very, very separated, when they start to separate more, you see them start to separate, aka that uninversion, the opposite, they start to get more inverted, and this thing starts to go up, the stock market usually follows that. So we'll pay attention to it. TLT, starting to see a little bit of a topping structure, or topping, I would say topping bar, not necessarily topping structure, but we'll pay attention to that going forward, and then we'll just keep our eye on things this morning as we see some bouncing. Look over at the Qs, see that waking up. Sell your dog and buy calls. I got my dog for $100. He wouldn't be able to buy me too many calls. And we got Bruce for like $300, so I don't think that they would, they'd maybe give us a day trade, you know what I'm saying? Bitcoin's pumping. There you go. Let's see. Bitcoin, the cool part about Bitcoin was it hit my buy zone. It hit my area where I was like really wanting to see if we could get to. This is kind of the last leg, the last line in the sand type of area with these highs. If I pull it across, you can see it includes those highs a little bit. They used as resistance. Then when we broke through, we saw the massive move. So the fact that we're wicking right here is actually a cool thing. We actually could see this turn back around. We'll pay attention. Do you think the market going down was just to try to get the weak to sell? I actually think it was two things. I think it was to convince you that this is a crash. If this is somehow articulated, right? I think this was to convince you that there is a crash right now, sell everything, and then you miss out on an upward move. That's what I believe. It hasn't proved itself in the charts, all right? We got to be clear with that. It has not proved itself in the charts. But in some way, I think this is just to shake people out of the market before we see another move up. But the way that you can read into it is right when you see that recession scare come in, look at the market, right? So when it actually is confirmed, the market will go down even more dramatically than this. And the reason that I'm a little skeptical is just because that move in volatility was absolutely massive. For just pretty much one piece of jobs data, which unemployment is the most important. That's what we pay attention to. But what we're going to see here is it'll probably be the next unemployment reading that people need to pay attention to as well. But we got unemployment, we got the reaction, we could expect that reaction. Dollar starting to come down, starting to wick up actually, so we'll pay attention to that. But what we want to just pay attention to closely are the signals. Right now, breaking back below that weekly expected move. So as of right now, this is still just terrible, terrible behavior. There is no reversal signal in here. There's no reversal signal in here. Good thing is the Qs are back within that range. They have the potential to hold up here. And Warren Buffett selling is a big red flag. Big red flag if Warren Buffett is selling, especially if it's something like Bank of America. Bank troubles is going to be... What do we say to pay attention to? Unemployment and banks. And what did he sell? Banks. But we just got to see if things reverse back around. And all you have to do is, if you want to just be patient with it, you just sit and you watch the fireworks for a little bit. You watch and see if this 2 hour can curl up. And then you go, okay, cool. That's the signal I pay attention to. Let me see here. If it goes down another 10% from here, it would be almost a confirmed bear market. At least a confirmed bear market. If it goes more than that quickly, then and you right here, which is more still like a bear market behavior, then we could be going into a bear market, but we will see those signals on the way up. So how you'll see if this is going to perform like a bear market is most likely if you do get some kind of bounce here, well, that 2 hour, you're going to see like a 30-minute divergence in that, and that's going to completely turn over this 2 hour and curl right back down and continue that negative trend. That is most likely how you will see if this is going to continue downward. But at this point, you could say, hey, if we're in the midst of a crash, I mean, we have volatility going as high as almost COVID levels here. So if this actually just whips right back around, like I said, you can keep going up. You keep going up in volatility, which means you keep going down in the SPY. But once again, volatility up 115%, the SPY down 4%. Most of the time, you're going to see that if the volatility is up by, all the way up towards 61, you're more likely to see like a 10% down day in the SPY or more. Oh yeah, the Nikkei is definitely screwed. But that's a whole different talk. Sell your Pokemon cards. Yeah, everything's hard to log into. Everyone's probably looking at their stocks and running for the hills. First thing we need, though, is 30 minutes to curl up. Let's just look at 30 minutes for a little bit here. Apple with a strong bounce back. Tesla, we'll see if you can form something. Nvidia, we'll see if you can hold up. Not even really oversold here. Very interesting. Well, I guess we did buy up pretty well here. RSI is oversold on the day. You see Boeing? Yeah. Oof. Let's just look at it from a daily scale here. Yeah, this was one, wasn't it? This was the one on the weekly. We were talking about it curling back down to create the stronger base. Maybe going back down into this triangle it's in. As you can see, you're in some kind of consolidative triangle at this point. So a signal I would like to see is a weekly divergence. That can help you convince you to invest over a long time with a monthly turn up. Nothing really in the 30-minute or anything like that, 2 hour, anything like that. But pretty cool market. I like markets like this. I think when things sell off, it's actually more fun. Just gotta stare at these 2 hour charts for a while, right? BCC starting to come down. See the yields. I really figured the yields would turn up from that. Selling my grandma's meds. Want to get calls, but I'm scared. Well, that's how it works, kind of. It's like the most scary time to buy calls. I get it, and it just means do whatever you're comfortable with, right? Make sure you're seeing a trade that is good for you, comfortable for you. Their phone number is down. Short Fridays. Their phone number is down too. Yeah, how does it happen? Well, that's because, well, one, you could say two things. If we are crashing here, and this goes like this and then crashes, that is probably people pumping the stock up to then sell at higher levels so that they're not hurt as bad by the drop or to reposition. That's crazy, Short Fridays. That is crazy, and thank you for the $2, but that is psycho talk that their phone number is down. Either that or it's like so many people calling. Starbucks has a Head and Shoulders on the daily side. Ooh, 2 hour might have one too. Let's see on the daily. Look like a failed breakout to me. It looks like a failed breakout of the downward trend here. Oops, I'm on the wrong drawing tool here. Looks like a failed breakout to me for now. But we'll see what happens. If this daily can cross down, that's still okay. You'd have another point of divergence here. Because as you can see down here on the MACD, we're kind of building up to that center line. If you can get this to get really, really close, that might be the opportunity looming. Holy crap. Yeah, this thing looks bad though. I don't use extended, I like regular trading hours. Something we could do like right now, if you want to include some other trading hours, is just look at a 2 hour, right? See if that 2 hour is able to curl up in the futures. This is overall what I was talking about last night. Hey, pay attention as we're breaking through key levels. Pay attention if we start to hold up at these key levels. This area in here will be important. Okay, let's pay attention. If this 2 hour does cross up, there's no divergence here or anything, so this can be something like this, drop down again, and then really convince people that this is a big drop. But in this area with the dollar behaving how it is and how people's sentiment is right now, I would think that the biggest trick would be to V-shape here, and that's just my honest opinion. That's kind of how I am, Dave. That's kind of how I am, Dave. I'm still going to be aware of the signals in case we set up some kind of lower high or something like that, and maybe we need to drop again, or that drop could just fall through the floor if this sentiment continues. But if we're able to V-shape, curl back down, V-shape again, I think you're right back in business. I don't see this being... We don't have bank failures. We got a bad piece of data. People are reacting to the piece of data. We just got more data. People will react to that as well. The dollar is dropping, hinting that there might be some buying. The only time that that happened was 2020. We saw the dollar drop, and then the selling escalated, which caused the dollar to whip back around. So what we really need to watch here is the dollar going to see, I would say, a massive 4 hour curl up? Is the dollar just going to massively turn around here? That's what I would pay attention to at this moment, because if this massively turns around, you could be seeing more than what's in front of you right now. But I think that the volatility going up to levels that kind of goes back to COVID levels, I think that's fishy. I think that's an over exaggerated move, in my opinion. Yeah, in 2008, we were just talking about times where we did pull back by, say, 6 or 7% over the weekend and just say, hey, yeah, a lot of the time they do these big drops, 6 or 7%. Now it's down towards that 9 to 10%. Great, that's a correction level still. And then we start to head up over time. So now that's the dollar, sorry, but in the actual market itself, we can look at this and just say, okay, let's look at this from the daily scale. Let's really think back and look at this from the daily scale. Well, we've gone up for a very long time. We're getting another pullback, almost like this one, kind of more dramatic, right? Really falling off. We'll see if that can recover. If that just crosses up into positive territory, you have a similar moment to right here. Similar moment to right here, which is where we called some kind of squeeze. So all we have to see is that daily going to turn up? And then boom, you're probably going to see some kind of short squeeze, as people are most likely shorting the market into oblivion right now. They're probably shorting the crap out of the market. We can see that from the PCC going up towards 1.4 again today and starting to drop off. So we're not seeing that extended downside. We'll still pay attention to it. Now let's look at the Qs, still at the 200. So that's very important. You're at the 200. You start to lose that, kind of some worse things can happen. But you notice we're buying right back up above it. If this does cross, swing trade, guys. Like the swing trading course down in the description is $50. The how to trade in any market is down there as well. It'll teach you guys about a lot of these things. It'll teach you about these weekly ranges. This week, we got a weekly range. This week, we went down to the downside weekly range within a minute this morning, and now we're buying back up above it. Now, if you think this is going to all-time highs, that's fantastic, but don't think that this has to happen. If you see weakness, if we go like this and you see weakness in this move, if we go like this and see weakness in this move, treat it like this can happen if that curls down. Right? If that curls down with like a 30-minute or a 2-hour divergence, treat it like it's going to be awful. That is what can happen. And then what you want to see is if that just turns right back around, then you go, okay, not awful anymore. Now we're breaking through. Good chance to go test the high. Right? But if I see a 2-hour divergence in here, then I'm going to be like, okay, maybe this has some more weakness here and could fall through the floor, because it definitely could. And then if that does fall and just turns back around, I know, hey, everything's going to be okay. Most likely we do see a rip higher, and then some kind of drop again. If this is going to keep behaving like a bear market, which is what is happening right now, it is behaving like a bear market, even though you're not in one. It is behaving like such. So we'll pay attention at this moment because we could see a rip up, a rip down, and then a bigger rip up as volatility subsides. We'll find out. We just got to wait for more. We have more time. We have a lot of time left. I gotta let Toby in here real quick. I'll be back in just 1 second. I just gotta let him down. Toby's our old man. He hangs out upstairs because he has to go to the bathroom every hour and a half. Toby, where am I? Yeah, nice and slow. Old man. All right, and that was pretty much my warning. Baby girl's about to go to the doctor. So I'll hop off here in a moment, but we'll stay as long as we can. I agree with the rip up, then down on Thursday. Yeah, we just don't get enough data, but we will get initial jobless claims on Thursday. So as far as it goes, PMI came out 51.4. Now originally that would be like, oh, inflation is growing, that's bad. But what you need to understand is if you want stocks to go higher, you probably want more inflation data now. Because if the inflation data comes out hot, the more it comes out hot, the more assets are inflating. So you're going to see those prices go up. But once we start to see weakness in the job data, that's when things start to take a turn. That's when something can break. That's when unemployment can rise unexpectedly. That's happening right now. So Thursday, 7:30 a.m., this number is going to be very important. These numbers are supposed to tick up to 250 on consensus, 250K, but also forecasted to go down. So you kind of have a 50-50 flip here. If this jobs data can come in, initial jobless claims goes down on Thursday, that's when I think you could see some potential big upside because people reacted like this because of jobs data. So if even this little initial jobless claims could matter, right? This really could matter. But based on how that jobs data came out, this is where you actually would think initial jobless claims is increasing. They cook the data all the time. Part of the reason you're seeing this type of reaction is because we actually saw a lot of revision in a lot of the data we've gotten in the past. So the revisions all said, hey, jobs are being lost. Let's see if there's any kind of news. I'm scared. Remember this. Gold held up a lot better than crypto. Okay, Jim Cramer, chill out. Alrighty, now we just got to pay attention to the memers. So if this is all due to meme stocks, then technically you should be seeing those run. They're not running, right? They're not running. And you're starting to curl down and go negative here for AMC. So if you want to see positive things for AMC and GME, you probably got to curl up real soon, especially on GME. GME just keeps going down, but still above the 200. So if this does curl up, you have the potential for a solid move. All right, let's get deep down into some 30-minute charts here, just seeing if things can curl up. We're above the weekly expected move for the Qs. I believe we're below it for the SPY. So we're still seeing that resistance come in for the SPY. Volatility, if that just turns right back up, then you know, hey, there might be more selling to be had. But as this is crossed down, all we have to see is now volatility says I'm in a pullback, and the most likely thing to happen when volatility says it's in a pullback is the SPY goes up. So we'll pay attention if this is able to cross to the upside. Cool. TLT starting to reverse. We'll see if this is some kind of pullback, right? And then maybe that leads all the way down into, say, maybe we get some kind of thing like this until Thursday, right? And then we'll get some jobs data. Dollar starting to look like it wants to turn back around, so we'll have to see if that has some positivity in it. If the dollar goes up and the SPY goes up at the same time, that's when I'll be a little shady, right? It'll be a little bit shady. All right, what are you guys chatting about in there? VIX, please. Yeah, VIX, overall, like I said with the VIX, you just need to see the 30-minute has curled down. So if you're going to see the selling continue, that's going to curl right back up. But as of right now, it's saying, hey, I curled down. That's the first step. The real big step to know that we might see a V-shape is if this 2-hour fully crosses. That's when you know, hey, yeah, we're probably V-shaping here. Right, so the SPY, we're going to see probably at the same time the 2-hour on the SPY, and the volatility sometimes does that first. So sometimes the volatility on a 2-hour will turn down, and then the SPY shortly after will turn up. Oh yeah, I'm in agreement with you there, Roma. I think Bitcoin will fall. I just don't believe that this is the moment. I think retail would be too right here. I think retail would make too much money from this overall move if that's the case. Just know at the end of the day, the rule is they want retail to lose money. Bitcoin, see if that can turn up on a 2-hour. Ethereum really saw a drop. And notice how deep they are, so you don't have to be based out yet. You could see a big reaction up, a big reaction down, then a big reaction up. You could see a big reaction up, fall through the floor. You could see a no reaction up and just continue the selling. Now, a lot of things can happen here. As of right now, the MACD telling you negative and negative territory, trying to get some kind of bounce. And then you just have to see if that's rolling over. Because if that rolls over, you might make a divergence, but you might not. As far as the SPY goes, you're just reaching down towards the level where we would expect. As of right now, you need that 2-hour to curl up while the divergence is still intact. So I would say on this 2-hour bar in the next hour, you need to see some buying up, but that's not coming as of right now. What I'd more so pay attention to is if volatility turns down on the 2-hour, and more so zoom out. I'm really going to encourage people to zoom out and then react based on this. Because if this is going to go all-time highs, the thing that is going to happen is this MACD is going to have to cross, this price action is going to have to get above these moving averages, and they're all clumped up here. So we don't necessarily have those reversal signals very well on the SPY. But if that does just see a move like this, that can catch up. We can curl above that 9. You can see this curl up on the MACD. You get up above the center line here. You can see more buying come in. It's just the same sentiment people had right here. There was a ton of puts being put in, and look where we're at on the RSI down there, same level. So this is where we just have to pay attention. You're above the 200, so if this curls up, that does mean positivity. Q's, similar story. You're trying to stay above that 200. If you can just curl up, that will mean positivity. Well, in a crash scenario, right, if people are fearful, they'll sell anything. It doesn't matter if it's small caps or not. Just making a bull flag. I don't see a bull flag anywhere. But I can see what you're trying to say, I guess. This is the beginning of the crash. I think it's a hint of what's to come, but I think that that's going to go into the future a bit here. Let's go look over at Tesla, because Tesla hitting some key areas. Yeah, I don't see a bull flag. I'm just like, I don't know. Don't convince yourself something's there, right? Just try to really see what's there and don't try to find something. If it's not there right when you look at it, then it's probably not there, right? So if I look at this and I don't see a MACD curled up like this, then I go, okay, that's really bad. That's all I think about. I'm like, that's really bad. I don't necessarily see reversal signals here, but if that just does this, hey, that could be good, right? That's how I'll take it. Yeah, I have a small amount of calls. Tesla and NVIDIA. But I use longer outdated options, so I'll even tell you guys. I am down 25 and 30% on my two options there. Oh yeah, Ribrit. This stuff can really freak people out, and it is something to freak out about if it continues. And it is continuing as of right now. We haven't seen the reversal signals necessarily, right? But I just really like how the Qs are setting up here. If they can see some bullishness still come in, I think that you have potential actually as you hit the bottom of a channel for some kind of bounce. If not, just a liquidity grab to head lower, right? Go grab some stuff in here and head lower, or break to the upside, start to curl down, curl back up. We'll pay attention if we get that bounce. As of right now, you got to treat it like, hey, we're going down pretty fast, so treat it as such. And then if that reverses back around, that's fine. But my positions I took on Friday weren't big enough for me to say, even I don't see reversal signals to scale in more. And two, they're not big enough for me to say, oh, let me sell that because I need to save myself, you know, $2,000 out of this $4,000 trade or something like that. No, I need to more so just be patient and say, hey, I haven't lost too much value in these calls. I have a longer outdated option. So let me just relax for a second and see how things are shaping up. I say correction, not crash. And I think correction is the truth at this point. But we need to figure out if that is the truth. I think it's the truth. Language is important. I keep saying I think. Doesn't matter what I think. I have to see things curl back up probably by tomorrow in order to know if this is going to see some upward buying. Good luck, slot machine. I wonder if the Fed will do an emergency rate cut. If so, would be interesting to see how that impacts markets. I don't think they will do an emergency rate cut. I haven't even talked about, what's the fact check say? I haven't even talked about COVID much. I just said that it's behaving a lot like COVID when we actually saw the crash. Oh god, DJ Toby. Unless we flash crash, yeah. But if you were flash crashing, then this would probably just hold up for the retail hour, convince people to go long, and then you would see it continue. We're not seeing that. We're seeing more puts, right? We're seeing more and more puts. I think they're going to hold rates. I think the data today, I think they're going to hold rates where they're at. Funny, you just say like, hey, the stock market's behaving like COVID. Whatever he said about COVID is wrong. It's like, what? Maybe it's because I said my daughter's getting her vaccines today. I don't know. YouTube's funny like that sometimes. Oh, I don't care. I say what I want. Yeah, you can't tell me what words I can and cannot say. I don't care. I'm not even like saying anything about medical anything, right? We're talking about stocks. You think we maybe see another scare come halfway through the week? Let's just see the sentiment, right? Type V if you think we're going to V-shape in some way this week. Don't go to the doctor. Oh, I am someone who does not trust doctors in any way, shape, or form. High chance we V. You think a W? Okay, Echo Chamber says a W, and I think a W would make sense, and I think someone was hinting towards that. Yeah, we flash up, we see some kind of drop with, say, Wednesday or something like that, and then we actually start to head higher, creating that W structure. I can see that as well. Flash crash should be over. I think the goal was achieved. Convince everyone that the market needs to drop dramatically, and then it just turns for the upside. But we don't have data really until, I would say, Thursday that can support the jobs numbers that we actually got. So we have to pay attention to what happens before then. We don't have a lot of data. So whichever way the market decides to go, we could mess around down here for a while before we make a decision. I think W would make sense as well. I actually think V shape does make the most sense, but I think a W shape would make sense with how we get the data this week, how we get initial jobless claims. NVAX. Novax. That's right, 30-minute. 30-minute divergence for Novax. If you curl up on this, that looks like a good sign for some upside, all right? That is potential. So when this MACD does curl up with this steep of a divergence, it's very, very significant on the MACD, and you see it down here on the RSI, right? We see that. Okay, awesome. Now I know if this curls up, it has high potential to go positive. It doesn't mean, hey, this is the best trade in the world yet. Still needs to go positive, but it does mean, hey, this here is a high probability for an upward move to curl up a 2-hour chart. Now that 2-hour is still negative. Watch out for a high or a lower high, right? Watch out for a lower high anywhere in this. You have earnings coming up, but that is a sign as far as it goes for right now for the 30-minute. If that 30-minute were to cross up, you can see some positivity here because momentum is a little bit dead. Let's go check out SoFi real quick for a moment here. This one dropping off as well. No real reversal signals on the 30-minute. So we kind of want to zoom out to a daily scale and say, hey, that's down. It's saying pullback. If that can cross back up, that would be good. The 200's right there, so just be a little bit cautious. I would say if that 2-hour curls back up, you got a good shot to make an upward move. You just have a ton of resistance above you, so pay attention as you're testing this area if we are able to. Hey, pay attention, because if that rejects, you might create that stronger base, right? If you look at the 30-minute, very deep down here, so if you do get a reaction, you can come right back down, and that's where people are talking about that W shape, right? The kind of double bottom that would give you some kind of divergence here to really convince you, hey, this thing has good potential to head to the upside. As of right now, you don't have that formed, so it might take a lot of patience and a lot of time for that to happen. You're welcome, oh wait, I almost said early birds again, early bids. All right, guys, I got about 12 minutes left in me, and then I have to pop off. Just trying to figure out this stuff for you guys. You're noticing volatility still remaining lower while SPY tries to react back below that move. We'll see what happens, but the Qs need to turn up. And this is how the W would look, by the way. If you're looking at the Qs and you were looking for that W, hey, we get some kind of big reaction up, we come right back down for either a higher low, or we go test that level again, and then you'll see that V shape. That would give you the nice structured here that would give you that divergence. So that's what we'll pay attention to this week, and then we can maybe see some reversal. Starting to climb a little bit. What stocks are moving? Is AMD back to positive? AMD positive by 1% here, rejecting the 30-minute cross, 2-hour curling up. So even through all of this turmoil, you're seeing a reversal to a positive trend signal confirm here for AMD. Interesting. Very interesting. That's all I'll say. Tesla not necessarily showing that full reversal signal just yet. 50 minutes left in that. What was the other one? NVIDIA. Not necessarily showing that confirmation just yet. Retesting our other zone, okay? So we're retesting the zone. Remember, we can use that as resistance now. What did Scott do? INTC, you want to look at Intel this morning? Yeah, we'll look at Palantir after we look at Intel for a moment, okay? Intel suffering a lot because of that earnings. So what you want to see here, a lot of the time with earnings, you'll hear me say this a lot, most likely you're going to continue the trend, but you want to see when that continuation happens. This oversold, this way down here is not necessarily the best place to make a decision. What you want to see is, can you make a decision that makes sense for another drop? Right? Can we get close to that center line and curl back down? That's more, hey, I can make a decision with that. Is this giving us some basing out signals? Is it giving us that W? Do we have divergence? We don't have any of that here, so I'm not touching Intel by any means. I won't catch a falling knife until I see reversal signals. That's the way to put it. What are you talking about, Steve? Not for Discord. We have it for Patreon. We post there. We're definitely going to give an update video on Patreon this week. If you want to join the Patreon, that's the link down in the description where we give the weekly ranges, which you're seeing a lot of stocks hit their weekly range downside. I think we could. I just don't think we see it in August. I think they leak it into September or October. Then we'll find out. What was the other one that someone wanted to look at? It was Palantir. Let's go look at Palantir real quick. Palantir, from this low, you see a divergence on the RSI, not on the MACD, but if that MACD does cross up, hey, if we need to make that stronger base, we get it, right? We have earnings too, so that's something sketchy around the corner. We'll pay attention to it, but anything can happen around that. It's a 50-50 flip. As of right now, you just have a small divergence on the RSI, not really on the MACD at the same time. Bitcoin starting to see that upward move, crossing up with the divergence. See if that 2-hour can confirm some upside here for Bitcoin. Yeah, Schwab is just... Why whenever someone types Schwab, does it delete off of my chat? Someone type Schwab again. Someone type Schwab again, please. I want to see if these delete. Why would they be deleting if Schwab... Okay, let's see if those Schwab comments last in the chat. Ribret thinks of E-shape. Schwab. Okay, they're staying. We're good. Swing. Sha-wing. All right, Bitcoin's starting to see a big bounce from here, so we'll pay attention to if that starts to give us some sentiment into how people are feeling. Remember, Bitcoin can move a little bit more rapidly. It's easier to liquidate for the big players. Q is starting to turn up here. Remember, if that crosses up, we could end up seeing something crazy to the upside, so that's something to pay attention to. Just be very careful with your baby girl. Yeah, so my wife is very in tune with that. So they try to give us, I think the last time we took her, they tried to give her like 8 vaccines. 8. And I think we only accepted 3. And I was just like, what are you doing? Like, why would I want to inject this little baby with like so many chemicals this early on? It's just like crazy. Now, some stuff I think is necessary, but 7 shots in one sitting is like, what the hell? And my wife is very in tune of what shots she actually believes Ari needs. Trust me, she cares a lot. Yeah, bananas. I mean, if QQQ overall goes, will NVIDIA go up higher as well? Yes, I think NVIDIA will most likely lead the charge, if anything. I think you'll see what we've seen in the past, which is people are going to be obsessed with the AI type stocks, and you're going to see these things start to curl up. That's why you're seeing AMD positive right now, right? So this is kind of your first signal AMD could see some kind of move up. Wow, really not one vaccine. Interesting. I'm going to get demonetized for saying that word so many times. Trust me, they look at us like we're crazy because we don't want our daughter to have, 7 to 10 vaccines in one sitting, and we deny a lot of the vaccines that they suggest now. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that, like they're a little bit better off, and I think like natural immunity is way more important. I used to say that back in the C19 days. Oh, I do believe the autism thing is so real. If you just look at the correlation between the increase of, I think it is now, by the time you're 18, you take almost, I think it's like somewhere between 60 to 100 shots from the doctor now if you're like born today. And as that number has increased in the past, that autism has increased. So not happy about that. But I definitely think that's correlated. Like, I think you got to leave some stuff up to natural immunity at some point. Like, come on. 199 demonetization hedge. Thank you so much for the 199. One thing I know that was kind of a cool experience, you guys, I've told you about my experiences with some medical phenomenons. I used to be cross-eyed, took off my glasses. I was no longer cross-eyed. I had a cancerous mole on my back. Once they told me about it, 2 days later when I was going to get it removed, it was gone. I had a big white, just plain like white piece of paper patch on my back. I don't know what happened. And then the other thing was when I was born, my mom actually had chickenpox when she was pregnant with me, and then they gave me the chickenpox shot, and I had a major reaction. I actually had chickenpox in the womb. Thank you so much, Spicy Avocado, for that. Now we'll just pay attention. So overall, I know I'm going to have to take off, guys, soon, but overall, you need to just be paying attention to reversal signals and then pay attention to if these things do bounce, do they have 30-minute divergences in them? Because if they have a 30-minute divergence up towards this area, let's just pull up a 30-minute, right? Even if this is a huge V shape, right? Even if this goes boom and then goes like that, if that divergence is there, this could be a significant drop. And then you want to see is this basing out and able to hold up. As of right now, just so you are aware, this is unexpected for the market maker. You're outside of the monthly for the Qs. You're outside of the monthly for the SPY. No, we actually haven't talked too much about IWM. So IWM dropping to lower levels. I need to update this. Thank you for reminding me. We do show these as well on the live video. Ah, bad typing. All right, 218.16. Why does that not seem right? Oh, that's the upside one, my bad. And then, look at that. Look where you're at. Isn't it funny? Weekly expected moves are the best support and resistance in the game, guys. I'm just going to tell you right now, this is the best thing to have on your chart are these purple lines. That's why I always encourage you, hey, $7 a month to join the Patreon. It really will help you find some trade setups. A lot of the time, what I like to do is clear out before the weekend, see if something like this happens, then make a decision. That's something I do a lot on Mondays. Just of course on Friday, I couldn't help myself. I had to take the 30-minute crossing up right here. I had to give a go on Tesla for a moment. But these really haven't lost much value. That's the crazy part for me. And you see the divergence is still there, so I'm paying close attention to this guy. Alrighty. NVIDIA, though, we just got to see if these things start to confirm. It's already confirming for AMD. In about 40 minutes, we'll see if that is able to fully curl up. And unfortunately for today, guys, I do have to, I have some family stuff to get to, but I will come back later this afternoon. So please do make sure you are subscribed. If you're not subscribed right now, hit that sub button. Let me say thank you for subscribing. Hit that sub button right now so you pop up on the screen so I can say thank you so much for subscribing, and you can come back later this afternoon and ask more about stocks. Usually I'm on another hour-ish from here. It's just today I have to go to the doctor. But I want to say thank you to some people. If we can get some people to subscribe this morning, no matter what, buy high-quality stocks. Yeah, that's perfectly fine, right? You should do your due diligence on those stocks, right? That's why penny stocks, I'm always kind of like, ugh, I have to look at a penny stock. But for the most part, if you know about the stock, you believe in the stock, you know it's good numbers or something like that at those lower levels, that's fine. For the most part, we're looking at the technicals here on stocks that are very valid, things that have good credentials. That's why we look at Mag 7 a lot of the time. The coolest day for me is when I actually make money. Well, that was me all last week. So I knew, you know, when you trade long enough, you get like 5 wins in a row. You kind of know like, hey, something bad's coming around the corner. But thankfully, I've been shortening, you know, really minimizing my risk on these trades. Still making plenty of money with the trades because of the big swings. My video's flagged on YouTube. Wah. Wah, wah, wah. Well, that's all right, guys. Anyway, video's flagged on YouTube. Who cares? Who cares? At the end of the day, we're here to trade stocks. We're not here to talk about random crap. If they want to flag the video, they can flag the video if they want. Either way, 2 hour crosses up. Pay attention to, I would say the Qs look like if that 2 hour crosses up, it looks like a pretty good trade there. So thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining today. I will be back later this afternoon to talk about some stocks with you guys. About some trades, info about some trades you're in, or just by here. Most of the time I'm talking about the trades on here. A lot of the time if I post a trade setup, we will be talking about that in the description a little bit of those posts on Patreon. I'll write a little description, but for the most part, it's just to show you potential opportunities that are out there. So thank you guys so much for joining today. I do have to hop off right away. I wish I could leave this up so you guys could chat for a while, but I gotta go. So I will be hopping off. I'll be back later today. Make sure you have those notifications on, because if they flagged my account, they're probably not going to show you guys that I'm even live. Oh, that's true. That's probably it. I used the COVID word in the title. I'll make sure not to do that this afternoon. But thank you guys so much for joining. I got to peace out. Later, guys. This is TradingView. TradingView, just go to tradingview.com. Usually there is a free subscription, so you can like, you know, put up I think like 2 to 3 indicators for free. I just pay for the basic one. That way I can add another indicator, and so I don't have to see ads. That's the main reason. All right, guys, I'm hopping off. Talk to you guys later. I'll talk to you guys at the end of the day, towards the last hour, during the rigged last hour of the day. Peace.